Anthony for breakfast, Triple M Albany. We're catching up with HR expert Jonathan Wolfrey. Thanks for your time, Jonathan.
No problem at all, Anthony. Pleasure.
Now, we have more generations in the workplace than ever before. Look, we've got baby boomers all the way through to millennials. As our lifespan gets longer and longer, people in the workforce have responsibility both for children and their parents while they're trying to juggle, what's going on at home, what's going on at work. What can we do to help manage these responsibilities?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, and I've got a caveat with, I don't think I'll have all the solutions here today, but it's an interesting one to think about. I remember maybe 10, 15 years ago when I was earlier in my HR career, often workplace flexibility centred around people and children and managing those situations. But, the last 5 or 10 years, it's got really prevalent that people need just as much care and support to manage their parents who get older and require their children who are now working adults to support them as well. So we have a few different things going on.
Yeah, and it seems like when you look at it, a lot of parents are living with their parents now, and a lot of children, like when I was 17, Jonathan, I was out the door, man. I wanted to get, but I know guys in their 30s, they're still living at home.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what we've experienced is that our workplaces, even the notion of carers leave, which we all generally understand in the workplace, the ability to take days off sick when our children are sick to make sure they're looked after, or even more increasingly our parents and things like that. That didn't exist 10, 15 years ago. And now we take it as granted. But what does the future hold in this space? Because, there's a whole range of situations and they differ family to family, and there's not just this standard 9-to-5 worker anymore.
So as an employer, do I need to be aware of the responsibilities that the people that come to work for me have?
Yep, for sure. And I speak to many employers, and often they say that is not the work's problem. That is the employee's problem. They can deal with it when they go home or when they clock off their shift. I get that. I run business myself. However, we know that if a person is at work, trying to work and stressed and worried, and their elderly parent is lost or their child is sick from school, they're not going to be doing a great job anyway. So it's definitely within the employer's best interest to go, what, the more I can support an employee when they're at work to work productively but not stress, the better it is for my business and what I'm able to achieve.
Okay, what about legal rights to request like flexible working arrangements?
Yeah, definitely. There's, I mentioned there that it's probably best for the employer at least to consider it, but there's also the legal responsibility as well, even if an employer didn't want it. So under the Fair Work Act and the National Employment Standards, an employee has the right to request flexible working arrangements to deal with these kind of challenges. An employer needs to consider it. Now, an employer doesn't have to agree to it. That's not a guarantee, but they need to consider what an employee is and see if they can't manage it within their work and what technology they have available and what shifts and working patterns they have available. So there's that legal right there.
Okay, I was going to say technology too has we can get a lot of help from technology, like, use technology to do our work effectively from home.
Yep, definitely. And I think that will allow more flexibility. We can do our work from home, all that kind of stuff. You don't need me to revisit all that. We've talked a lot about that this year, particularly. Just to note that whilst that does assist, it can also be a bit of our enemy as well, because it makes us more contactable by our employer, by our parents who might need our support, by our children, even, as you get, and I know, Anthony, you have been through this, your children can email you at work throughout the day, even if they're in high school and things like that. So while it can be good, it actually puts more responsibility on us, because at work we're getting this home and personal stuff come in, getting those phone calls and those emails from our family members as well. So we need to not just turn on all the apps and the technology as well. We need to figure out, okay, this will help me be more flexible, but it'll also increase the demand from all these aspects. So just keep that in mind, I'd say.
Okay, and in closing, I just want to say, look, obviously it's us that needs the support, not just those that we're caring for.
Yep, I get requests. I request it myself from family members, from employees in the workplace and all this. What can we do for my children? What can we do for my parents? All these kind of things. And often it's, we can't solve all that kind of stuff. We just need to make sure we're putting ourselves first at some point in time, looking after ourselves. And there's often support that exists, whether it be through, children or parents that have medical conditions and those groups that actually support those supporting those that we're increasingly called on to support as well. So always these conversations, we've talked a few about the points, but we can never forget we need to make sure we as carers and the people stuck in this sandwich generation are getting the support ourselves, because if we burn out and we can't support these people and we lose our jobs because of the overwork, that we won't be much help to anyone.
Thanks very much, HR expert Jonathan Wolfrey. We'll chat again next week.
Excellent. Thanks, Anthony.
Triple M Albany.